Well, good evening again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for tonight's webinar on Twitter. My name is Greg Wade. I am the Vice President of Marketing and Social Engagement for Career Quest Training Center, and it is my honor to welcome you and ensure that you are joining us for the correct session. Tonight's session is on Twitter and using it in 140 characters. Just some quick housekeeping things just to get you started. Everyone on this call is in the listen-only mode. If you do have a question at any point, you can signal that in the chat function along the side, or you can go ahead and raise your hand using some of the functions that are in the actual chat function. So we'll go ahead and get started in just a few seconds. I see we've still got a few more folks that are joining us, so we'll go ahead and wait and make sure everybody is on the same page as we go forward. 1 second. All right, we'll go ahead and get started now. Seems like we have just about everybody signed in. First thing first, I want to make sure everyone is able to hear the presentation. I'm going to send out a quick poll just to make sure that you are able to hear this presentation clearly. It'll pop up on your screen if you can just click yes or no and let folks let me know whether or not you're able to hear us. If for some reason you're not able to hear us, there are dial-in instructions. Or in case you're on a VoIP, you can adjust your internet settings. But it does look like everybody is able to hear me, so that is great to see. So we'll go ahead and close that one out. All right. Well, let me sort of just give you a breakdown of what we're going to sort of try to do this evening. If you've been joining us for any of the other presentations we've been doing on social media, we've been trying, and I don't know why this computer is having a mind of its own tonight, but let me get it back up here 1 second. Okay, why is it not? There we go. All right, so now we're back on track. Our agenda for this evening is to sort of give you just an overview of what Twitter is. Twitter could be a completely foreign topic to you, and for some people it truly can be. However, we want to make sure that you start to sort of review the terminology and get some of the key ideas. We also want to then show you how Twitter works and then sort of answer your questions. One of the things that's going to be a little bit different from this presentation compared to the others. The other ones really were focusing on how you could use Facebook or social media to grow your business. This presentation is not going to be focused on that, all because I guarantee when I ask the next question, we put up the next poll, most of you are going to indicate that you probably are not using Twitter right now. That's maybe why you're joining us, to try and get a better sense of what Twitter actually is. So tonight's presentation is going to primarily be just a general overview, trying to get you a little bit more up to speed on what Twitter is, how it works, and possibly how you might be able to start using it. So again, what this presentation will not be is how to get you started. I'll give you at least some tips that point you in the right direction. Again, we're not going to focus on how it's going to grow your business. If there is interest at a later time, as always, we are welcome and open to suggestions for other topics for presentations or webinars. So that might be one down the road we can definitely talk about. All right, so why don't we go ahead and ask another poll question. And the next poll question is on your screen right now. It's, do you currently use Twitter? So if you take a few seconds and just let me know whether you do or do not actually use Twitter. This is going to help me to sort of, as we go through the evening, to better understand exactly what the audience is and how we can generally move this evening. Looks like about, when we have almost all the responses in, and it's about 67% of you are saying that you do not use Twitter. 33% saying that you do. So that's a very interesting statistic. So very good to know, especially I think going back to some of the basics and talking about Twitter from the very beginning will be a good step, and then, again, we can always elaborate further if we have to. If you've been joining us for any of the other webinars, you may remember some of these statistics, but I want to just sort of go over them for you. Make sure you're up to speed on what Twitter is and how it's growing. Twitter is a form of social media that focuses around 140 characters or less. It is a very quick, informal way, character-based. There's very few pictures unless you embed it. It seems to be catching on a lot by the younger generation. It seems to be most of the younger folks are leaving using Facebook and more are going to Twitter. And here are some basic statistics for you. More than 100 million people right now are actively using Twitter every month. There's more than 400 million visitors, according to Google Analytics, that are using Twitter. 50% of those people log on every day. 55% of them on mobile devices. I know myself, I use Twitter, and I use Twitter on my phone all the time. And there's 1 billion tweets every 5 days. So you can see the conversation. And when we talk about social media, if you remember, we're talking about it's a conversation. It's a conversation with you and somebody else out there. It's hard to determine exactly who is going to receive that message, but we are guaranteed through social media that somebody is going to get that message. And Twitter is an exact way for individuals to express themselves. There's lots of people who have Twitter accounts. Some of them have alter egos. Political folks, even some of the talk show hosts, use it to rant and rave. Just about everybody is using Twitter right now. And here's some statistics why every major sports team has a Twitter account. Look at the percentages across the board of NBA players, congressmen, TV shows, Billboard's top 100 musicians. We'll use Justin Bieber, for example. Justin Bieber has about 59 million followers on Twitter. Being a young pop star, every one of the younger generations wants to see what's Justin up to. And Twitter is exactly that. It's a way to proclaim what you're doing, what you're up to, get your message out in it. And again, Twitter is focusing on very short messages. So you can see across the board, we really are seeing a lot of folks using Twitter. And again, you'll see this, we've talked about this through the multiple sessions. Twitter, again, is designed, like the other social mediums, to help you have a conversation with an audience online. If you remember from the graphic we had where, Facebook is all about, proclaiming what you're doing. Twitter is a way for you to make a statement. YouTube is for you to show people what you're doing with a video. Flickr or Instagram is another way to show people, but with pictures. So Twitter itself is a very growing form. It could be very complex for some of you to catch on to. If you have anyone that's younger in your family or within your business, I would highly encourage you latching on to them, seeing whether they can't help you grow, because it has started to grow immensely, seeing that what billions and billions of tweets every day are going out and happening. And again, if you're a long-winded person, Twitter is going to be very difficult for you, because when you start to think about 140 characters, 140 characters is not a long amount of characters for you to get your message out. So if you are long-winded, if you are used to proper English and making sure you're using commas and periods and making sure that you're using extra words, Twitter is going to be difficult for you because there's a lot of abbreviations and a lot of it to communicate very quickly and to the point. Another example I'll give you besides using Justin Bieber is a lot of the news agencies are starting to use Twitter, especially if there's breaking news in the trial, like the different trials. Recently, the Jodi Arias trial. Fox News was live tweeting what was going on from the courtroom. And again, there may be instances where there might not be able to be video coming out. There may not be able to be chances for even pictures to come out. but you can send a tweet. It's like a text message. So it's a way to ensure you're getting information out there very quickly. You know, we also saw another instance of Twitter especially being used recently when Oklahoma was hit with the tornado. A lot of people took to social media to let other family members know they were okay. So it's a way that even with a very low cell band, you can still get a message out through social media. So it is growing, and it is a conversation that's going to continue to pick up. You know, there are some things when we talk about Twitter, because, you know, we spend a lot of time talking about Facebook. Facebook and Twitter are two different social media. Facebook is going to be a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier for the user, like yourself, to understand. Twitter is going to be a little bit more complex, and so you know, this graphic is perfect with the guy with the, you know, with his head buried in the sand, because really with Twitter there are a lot of things you want to make sure that you are not doing in order to be successful. And so some of them that are on your screen right now, you don't have you don't have a Twitter account just to have one. If you remember when we talked the last time when we were working with Facebook, we were talking about having a strategy, developing a plan for implementing social media. There's no reason to use social media if you don't have let's say the manpower or the knowledge or even the technical skills to move it forward. That's where if it's going to be a successful thing for you, you may need to hire somebody. You may need to possibly reach out and have a service be utilized for this type of thing. So again, we want to make sure that you aren't just having a Twitter account just to have one. But if you are going to actually put a social media strategy together, and Twitter is one of those mediums because maybe your niche is, let's say for travel, it's going to be college spring break trips. Well, absolutely, Twitter would be a great way to grow your niche because, again, you're reaching those younger audiences. If your niche, let's say, is you know, 70 years and older, you know, and you're trying to really reach out to people who are in their golden years and they're trying to go on a vacation, Twitter is not going to be the method you're going to use in order to get a hold of those folks, because they definitely aren't going to get your message. So again, having a strategy is going to be very important. The other thing is making sure you're not a ghost. You know, we want to make sure that you are present, but you want to make sure that you, if you have a Twitter account, that you actively use it, that you don't just let it sit there and be dormant. Again, you know, don't just have one to have one. The third bullet point on there, don't just set it and forget it. Ron Popeil had that amazing little cooker one time, and you put the, you know, the roast beef or whatever that meat was in, and you set it and forget it. Well, that's not something we can do with Twitter. Twitter needs to be it's a tool. It's a conversation. Just as if you and I were standing face to face right now, and we were having a conversation, and I just continued to talk, and you walked away or you faded away. That's exactly what we're talking about. You have to still be on the receiving end of the conversation and making sure that you're able to interact. Don't mix your messages. A lot of times what we find is that there are individuals out there that get excited about having a Facebook and a Twitter account, and they set their Twitter account up to just mirror what's their Facebook. The thing you'll find is that will actually turn people off from wanting to follow you or interact with you, because all they're going to continue to get is the exact same content that's on your Facebook page. So again, this is where strategy comes into it. So again, if you really just don't have the manpower or the technical skills to move forward with Twitter right now, then maybe it's something to put on the back burner. But maybe it's something, well, let's move forward with Facebook, and then maybe we can try to grow it. Or maybe I can find, you know, my neighbor who's a college student, or possibly bring in an intern of some sort that might be able to help grow it, and you know, you sort of learn as it goes forward to, you know, to help your business. You know, the last one on there, you know, again, it's just, you know, not duplicating, you know, because Facebook messages come out a lot different. And if you've ever been on Twitter, and actually I can probably pull up just to give you an example. I think I've got the career request page pulled up here. Let me see. There's a way on Twitter that it will automatically showcase if they're up. Here's one right here. If you see it on your screen, actually your screen didn't switch. So hold on, let me switch real quick so you can see what I'm seeing. If you look at this message right here, there's a little, after the message, it starts to truncate, and it has SD, ... it looks like it's a link. That means that it's an embedded message from Facebook. And so what it's doing is, because Twitter only allows you 140 characters, so it's only allowing you so many characters, and then it's giving you a link. And that link is going to go to your Facebook page. So there are some good parts to that, but for those that actively use Twitter, if they just continue to see those links to your Facebook page, well, they could follow you on your Facebook page to get the same information. Why should they follow you on your Twitter page or via a tweet, as they like to call them, if it's going to be the exact same information? So let me switch back here real quick, and of course it had to do that. Bear with me 1 second. I'll get you back to where we're at. So again, the reason we talk about things going into Twitter and into the conversation is because there's a lot of things as you're, I don't want you sitting here, and I don't want you mapping out in your head how you're going to start and launch a Twitter account, and then all of a sudden not really use it or feel like you fail at using it because maybe you just don't understand it, or you just, again, become a ghost or, start a conversation. The other part is that if you're out there and people can find you, you have to make sure that you're actively using it, all because people may be having a conversation with you, and if you're not answering back, it's like somebody standing, again, right in front of you and talking and talking and talking, and you just ignoring them. They're going to get mad at one point, and they're going to sort of walk away. So if you put yourself out there and you're on Twitter, you have to make sure you've got some manpower to back it up so that you can have those conversations. Because, again, you could have new business coming your way very, very easily. When we talk about niches, this is a great way to look at it. Let's look at, exactly with Twitter. Twitter is an online social network that enables users to send and read text-based posts, again, that are 140 characters or less. Look at the breakdown of the users. Right now, it is still a very female-driven social medium. And look at the ages. Right now that 29 to 30 age range seems to be the most popular. But look at the 18 to 29. It's definitely up there in terms of percentages. Even with the number of visitors, visitors, again, Twitter seems to be very female dominant. And so this is something as you're starting to map out your strategy. Again, if you're really trying to reach out and target as a niche female travelers, then this, of course, could be a medium for you. But this is where you start to develop your strategy. So a few things you need to know. Every Twitter name starts with the @ sign. So Twitter is based around the @ sign. So if I was going to send a message to myself, my Twitter handle is @GregWade. My first and last name, that's how I created my account. So if you were going to send me a message on Twitter, you would put in as the first things of your message, @GregWade, and then the rest of your message. Now the thing to remember, when we start typing, depending on how long this Twitter handle is, that takes away also from the amount of characters you have to put in that message. So I'm going to switch back over to the Career Quest page again, because I want to sort of just show you, in case you're wondering, when we talk about typing a message, let's say I'm going to send it to @GregWade. And again, if you see right here, it starts to come up and it starts to show me how many characters I have left. So maybe I want to say, hope you had a good day today. What is on your agenda for tomorrow? Maybe it's a short question. You can see I still have about 62 characters left. But let's say I wanted to promote even this webinar tonight. Hope you, if I can spell it correctly, you are able to join us for tonight's webinar on Twitter in less than 140 characters. And I think I don't have the links to embedded. But as I start to put a link, let's just put the Career Quest page, training.com. We'll put that web up there as well. You can see it starts to count me down. So depending on how much of my message, even if I wanted to put in there, add additional folks to see this message, it starts to count me down. So that's where the number of characters becomes important. Because again, it's very text and character based, so that it's a very fast medium. It goes out there. You can see it very fast. But the reason we use the @ sign, and especially in this message, if I would not have put @GregWait or @CQTC, it would not alert that person that I'm sort of quote unquote tagging them in this Twitter message. If I was to just erase that and just type a generic message, then I would have the whole 140 characters. But again, as a user, if I was going to put it out as Career Quest and I wanted to alert, Joe Smith, and I put @Joe Smith, then his Twitter account is going to alert him, hey, somebody has has mentioned you in a message, so that you can start the conversation. And the nice part about Twitter especially is, and I have my Twitter account set up this way, where if somebody mentions my name, if I was to send that message right now, my phone, my text message, it would alert me that, Career Quest Training Center has mentioned me in a message. And so I could click, with a few clicks from my phone, I could easily go see what that message is, and I could interact. So again, it's a conversation starter. So that's sort of why when we talk about 140 characters, what we're talking about. So let me switch back real quick so we can continue on, but I wanted to just show that to you while we were talking about it. So another terminology that you have, and you may hear this a lot when people are talking about Twitter, is called the hashtag. You may look at it and call it the number sign, the pound sign, but for Twitter, it's considered a hashtag. And a hashtag is a symbol used to mark keywords or topics in a tweet. It was created organically by Twitter users. And if you watch the Today Show, Good Morning America, or even the news these days, you'll hear them talking about what's trending. What's trending on Twitter? In order for them to gauge what's trending, they're using hashtags. And so again, a hashtag for this audience and for this webinar could be the pound sign and travel. So we might want to search, well, what's going on with the pound sign and travel. So bear with me, I'm going to switch back because I think it's great if you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So if I'm on Twitter and I want to just search the pound sign and travel, it's going to come up and it's going to bring me any person, any user, any tweet that has anything to do with the pound sign and travel. And so this is where you can start to see exactly what is trending. So with the pound sign and travel, I can start to see everybody who has done anything with pound sign and travel. USA Today, here's a travel agency right here that seems to be using it. Even down into their videos that people have embedded, I can even go as far as to look and see who are some of the other people that are actively using Twitter for the pound sign and travel. Over here I can see photos that are posted. I can also see other people. I can find friends and start to find out who is it that I should follow if I'm interested in the pound sign and travel. So that's sort of the idea behind what a hashtag is. And the hashtag, again, is going to help you, and will cooperate with me. One moment. Let's see, why are we not? Hold on one second, my screen is frozen. Let me get back to the store. Okay, there we go. So again, a hashtag, again, it's the pound sign. So when you're starting to get used to Twitter, you'll start to find that you'll see in messages #, travel, #, saving, #, career. A lot of folks now are using Twitter to promote job opportunities. So they may put, we are now hiring for a communication specialist, #job, maybe the state that the job is in, #, maybe what city the job is in. And what we're finding is that these hashtags are taking off because people want their message to be seen by other people. That's how you start the interaction, is by using hashtags. The next thing on there is talking about the word retweet. So again, a completely made-up word from several years ago that is now caught on. It's called a retweet. And the retweet, by definition, is on there. It's a tweet by another user that's forwarded to somebody else that you follow. Oftentimes, it's used to spread news, share valuable findings, and it's usually represented with the letters R and T, again, for read and tweet. The idea behind this is, the easiest way for me to put it is, let's think about if you were to forward an email to somebody. That's the same concept as a retweet. It's forwarding that message on to other people. However, unlike an email, we don't have to put in a destination. We can just put out, we want to retweet this, and it's going to go, and anyone who follows us is going to see that message. So as you get started with Twitter, your following may not be as strong. It may not have as many folks. However, it is going to start to grow as you interact with people and as you start to grow your audience and start to have conversations with them. So it's, if you read the bottom part, it is common to retweet messages that you like, to endorse, that you find interesting. You'll feel that your followers would also like to read. The tactic helps to promote other messages through the channel in an effort that they would return the favor. Twitter is very big in terms of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So if I go and I'm getting started on Twitter, I would go and I would start following anybody that has anything to do with my competition. And then I'd start finding, what are they doing? And who else is out there? What can I grow? And so that # travel could be a very good part to go in and find, well, these are all people that want to do anything to do with travel. So let me start following them and retweeting what they're putting out. So then maybe they'll start following me, and when I put out a message, maybe they'll put it out to theirs as well. And maybe it's about a deal you've got for a new cruise. Maybe it's a promotion you've got. Whatever the message is, it would be a way to, again, have that conversation and try to grow it a little bit. Okay, let me go on to the next thing. So in terms of Twitter, again, follows around the word followers. Just like Facebook. Facebook is all about either the number of likes or the number of friends that you have. Twitter has the number of followers. You either have the number of people that you are following or the people that are following you. And so the difference is, it's very easy for you to follow people. It's for them to be the leader and you follow them, it's very easy. But in order to get them to follow you back, you have to start a conversation with them. You have to interact and get them engaged so that they will click a few buttons and say, absolutely, I want to see their messages. I want to find out exactly what this person is, so that in their daily feed, when Twitter comes up, that I want to see their messages. And there may be some people that absolutely I don't want to see their messages. So I may not follow them. If you think of any major celebrity that's out there, celebrities, like even I mentioned Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber probably doesn't follow very many people. Because again, he only wants the number of people who are, a number of people that he wants to see their messages to pop up in his feed. If he was to have all 59 million that follow him pop up on his feed, he would never be able to see the messages that he wants. So the nice thing about Twitter is that you as the user are able to control, what messages do you want to see? And, but the challenge of it is really trying to be interactive so that other people are seeing your messages. So when we talk about how to build followers, it's trying to identify who to follow, and it can be found once you're in Twitter on the Discovery tab. What Twitter does, and this is where Twitter is very smart, once you set up your profile, it's going to use your profile. You may identify the city you live in or work in, maybe that you're a travel agent, you love walks on the beach, you love going to the state of Michigan to kayak, that you have 2 sons that go to Notre Dame, whatever it is that you put in your profile and you put out there for others to see, Twitter's going to use that to try to identify other people that they feel you should connect with. The thing that I love about Twitter is there is no possible way for any of your personal information to ever get anywhere. If you put it out there, then it's out there. But if you don't, there's no way for your information to get out there. But again, in order for you to make it an interactive medium, in order for you to ensure that you are attracting people and engaging them to have that conversation with you as a travel agency just getting started on social media, you want to be out there. You want to be talking about exactly who you are, what you're doing here, maybe a little bit about yourself. Because again, you may stumble upon somebody who goes, well, I love kayaking in Michigan, and you're a travel agent, so maybe you could book my trip. There's a possible sale for you right there. So that's where Twitter starts to work behind the scenes. It really will start to identify for you exactly who should we follow. I'll give you an example of, when we were starting to try to grow the CareerQuest page and the CareerQuest account on Twitter. It started taking off because in the bio, of course, we talk about providing travel training. Well, the word travel especially, it was a hot button. So we start going out and we start following other people that have anything to do with travel. We start retweeting, again, using these words, retweeting other messages. Well, we very quickly, grew our following. We started finding that we were, I think right now we're well over 1,000 followers. So that means 1,000 people are getting our message. And a lot of it was we had to take a little bit of time and scratch their back, promote other people, sort of, give them a big head a little bit and be like, oh, we want to promote your message to our folks. But you want to make sure it's a message that aligns with what you do. If there's if you're a travel-based, company, maybe it's not the best thing for you to be putting out something political. If it's your own personal Twitter account, absolutely, you can do whatever you want. That's what's great about it. You're in a free country. But for you as a business, that may not truly represent what your business, because that may also make people not want to do business with you because maybe they don't like your views. So again, it's a double-edged sword. But again, this all goes back to what we talked about initially with strategy and making sure that you've got a plan in place. You know what you want as your ultimate goal, and you're setting aside the resources to help make this happen. So again, as we start to build our following, it all comes down to trying to find new individuals that we can interact with. We can look to see who others are following. We can see who's following the competition. The best advice I can tell anybody that's getting started on it is start to search what interests you. What interests you? What interests your employees? What do people come in and talk about? If people bring you business, you may say, oh, well, I'd last book my trip with AAA. Well, AAA would be one of the ones I would recommend you follow. Well, what is AAA doing to attract people into their agency? What is Michelle's kayak travel trying to bring in that you're not? Trying to follow exactly what is it that the competition is, and how can you start to develop a strategy to compete with them. Again, the nice thing I love about Twitter, Facebook, and social media in general is it's free. When we talk about business strategy, we talk about marketing plans, usually we talk about, a lot of dollars attached to it. We're talking about medium tier that are free. Free for you to use, but it's going to take a little bit of your time. It's going to take your strategy, or it could take some money to hire somebody to get you started and get you going. So there are, and again, I've told this in the other sessions. At the very end, I'll make sure you have my contact information. But there are, individuals, there are companies out there that do this all the time. I know a number of folks that, I can highly recommend that can help you get started, and you pretty much, decide, what do you want them to help you with? But again, go back to thinking about first, what's the strategy behind how you're going to make this happen? Here's some things, about why you should be on Twitter. I love using these type of examples. If you wanted to be a part of the conversation, you have to be present. Here is somebody that happened to go to Arby's. They are, they signed in to say, hey, I'm at Arby's. And they were saying, hey, I'm going to take care of this. I want this exclusive deal. Well, what they do by putting that message out is they then say, hey, guess what, 1,000 followers. I'm at Arby's. I'm having the new roast beef sandwich. Here's a deal that you could possibly have. Why don't you go to Arby's too? So that's a great way for Arby's to then get their message out to other people. And you'll notice a lot when we talk social media, there are a lot of specials and stuff that you'll find. There are exclusive coupons. There were even some Black Friday sales around Thanksgiving before Christmas started, where there were instances where if you were out Black Friday shopping and you sent a tweet, I know Ellen DeGeneres did this in the Chicago area. If you happened to be out and you were following Ellen and you happened to be at the certain place where they told you exactly what to tweet out. And if the Ellen Show saw it, they sent you a $100 Best Buy gift card. So it was a great way to interact and capture an audience. But think about how many people went to, that place in Chicago because they were like, oh, maybe Ellen's going to be there. The Ellen Show never said that, but a lot of people, they can read into it. It's a great way to drum up additional business, hype, and exposure for their product or what they're trying to push out. Another example, conversations are happening all the time if you're not part of it. There could truly be people out there talking about Michelle's kayak travel, and you have no idea. So again, you have to be a part of the conversation if you want to start to bring those folks to the table. So here's a conversation where this is out there happening. Somebody's out there talking about, this is, somebody who's so excited because he's going to be having these shoes. Well, it's a perfect opportunity where they're promoting the Shoe Carnival website. But because Shoe Carnival wasn't tagged in this, they may not see it. But if we were set up with, really good Google Analytics or Google Alerts, we could probably know that once that message hits and it says Shoe Carnival, it may alert us so we can start to interact. The other thing, too, is that, let me go to the next one because, is this the one? Yes, this is my favorite one. This is a perfect example. If people are mad, they take to social media very quickly because, again, it's a way for them to blow off some steam, to get angry and put it in 140 characters or less and not have to face a person or even deal with them on the phone. So a lot of times, here's an instance where, I think this was in New York City, if I'm correct, where the person pretty much put out there that, actually this isn't, this is the one where the guy was mad, to the DoubleTree, to the shuttle saying, is there going to be another one? Let me see. Oh, the DoubleTree shuttle with the cookie on the side passes me one more time. Where's my chariot? I'm going to eat it. It's a DoubleTree again. They were tagged in this. The DoubleTree apologized. We apologize for the issue with the shuttle. How may I assist you? Please follow. Please follow me and send me a direct message, and he's going to take care of it. Any of these entities that are out there, it's a great way to interact. Think about Arby's. Go back to Arby's again. If I went to Twitter and I put at Arby's, I had the worst roast beef sandwich ever tonight. I'm never coming back to your business. I guarantee you, within 30 minutes, you will see an apology coming from Arby's on Twitter back to your message. You will then probably have a direct message through Twitter saying, please contact me. I would love to invite you back into our store and give you a free coupon or something. You know, so people are, especially the restaurants, they're very socially friendly in making sure that they are addressing those issues so that it's not just somebody bad-mouthing you. You've got a way to respond. So it does start that conversation. And here's the thing. I guarantee by that person responding from DoubleTree, that person is probably now a DoubleTree customer for life because they took a negative situation and they turned it into a positive. So, you know, some of the things to remember, and this is, I've got a whole other section, but I may actually save that for another session. So I'm probably going to stop here and sort of just wrap up with a couple things that, you know, again, when we talk about Twitter, I can't emphasize enough of thinking through and having a strategy. Is this the right medium for you? And I don't say that to be mean. I don't say that it's, you know, I don't want to see any of you waste your time, your money, or your resources, and you go, well, they said on that webinar that this was going to work. It may not, because you have to be interactive with it. You have to see what the conversations are going. You have to interact with folks. So that's where engaging people that are younger can absolutely work in your favor. Now, if you have an agent that works for you that is just, you know, so on the ball with technology, and they could, you know, maybe that's one of their duties. And you start to grow them and let them sort of start to do some of your online marketing and your social media. And maybe it's a couple minutes of their job each day. Or maybe you know, say, hey, I'll pay you an extra, you know, whatever to handle this for us. So, you know, that is definitely, having a plan is definitely important. I will tell you that. The second bullet point on there is, you know, create tactics to meet your goals. We talked about this a lot with the Facebook. You know, looking at trying to make sure, again, when you have a plan and a strategy is only as good as if you have realistic goals that you want to meet. So if you don't really know what it is you're hoping to accomplish, then we need to start over again. We need to measure our successes. We need to see whether this is working. And we may need to modify it. We may need to change. We may need to go in a different direction. We may need to, maybe I started a Twitter account and it's just not taking on. So maybe I do need to get somebody else involved that might be able to help me grow this, to interact with some people. The thing to remember, especially with Twitter, none of us are ever going to have Twitter accounts that are like Justin Bieber with 59 million people. Unless you have a true following, the Kardashians, the, you know, Today Show co-anchors. These folks have people that watch them every day. You know, they interact with them. We're not going to have that for ourselves. I will say I have used Twitter for 5 years now, and I just, as a for myself as a person, hit 1,000 followers. And that was a very monumental thing for me. But again, it took me, you know, between 4 and 5 years to really grow. So again, that's where strategy and planning comes in, because this is not something that's going to happen overnight. So again, Twitter is a growing trend. It's a great way to meet people, but you have to make sure you have the right tools and resources behind it to make it work, or you're just going to be frustrated and you're going to go, why am I wasting my time or money on this? The next bullet point is, you know, refine, modify, and repeat. I can't tell you how many times, you know, and maybe we'll do this in the next one. We'll talk more about content, and we'll schedule one if there's even interest after I'm done with this. Hopefully everyone's not asleep by this point. But, you know, there are ways to refine your content and making sure that you're, you know, pushing up things that are, you know, engaging, that are content-driven, that are interactive, sort of like the exact same topics we had with Facebook. You know, the last one there is be prepared to experiment and, you know, use creativity. Creativity is definitely one that wins people over. Having creative contests, engaging people, using charitable organizations to grow your following. Oh, if you follow my page, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to give $1 to the Humane Society. There are creative, fun things out there that can help, put a human spin on what you're doing and how you're trying to grow people. So what for some people, they now realize, well, that means I'm buying them. Yes and no. You're doing something charitable for that organization, but you're finding people who want to get your message. They want to hear and see, what is it? What is Michelle's kayak travel going to be able to talk about? And again, once you've got them in the door, it's sales 101. How do I keep them? How do I keep them engaged? How do I continue to show them product and talk about sales and talk about things that are interactive? And even, we can talk more about this next time, but keeping it humorous, keeping it fun, but not taking it too far. I mean, maybe it's, maybe somebody, was, doing something and they, dropped something and it looks funny. I mean, you've got ways to interact. It's a way to ensure that you, again, are having that conversation. So right there, we are at about 46 minutes. I don't want to go any farther. I'll give you just a sort of a sneak peek of what we can do the next time. This is almost exactly like the strategy planning part that I talked about for Facebook. Having a plan, having a strategy behind, how am I going to grow my customer relation? How am I going to handle if there's a crisis? What if somebody does start to badmouth me? Do you take the Miley Cyrus or the Amanda Bynes, to use the new folks, and just say whatever you want? Absolutely not. Again, goes back to customer 101. The other thing we'll talk about, following. How do we create content? How do we engage folks? And here's one especially. I told you I would give you this. If you're not currently using Twitter, and this is something that you do want to use, here's some quick and easy steps to help you get started. You can go to twitter.com. You can click on sign up. Within about 5 minutes, you can have a Twitter account up and running. The next hard part becomes trying to figure out, what is my business going to be called? Again, remembering 140 characters is what I would normally have within a message. So again, I'll use Career Quest Training Center as the example. I could never use @Career Quest Training Center as our Twitter handle, because Career Quest Training Center, that's about 18 characters. So every time I put a message out, I would be 18 characters less. So what we did as a company is we decided, well, let's use an abbreviation. So we used CQTC. That way, when somebody sees it, they'll hopefully then see our logo right next to our Twitter handle, and they'll know exactly who we are. And if they have a question, they click on it, they'll see our profile. So the next big thing is trying to develop a Twitter handle that's fitting to your business. I tell people all the time, just like you're having a professional email address. I can't tell you how many resumes I've seen, and their resume is really great, but then their email address is princesslover7246@Yahoo. I'm sorry, but Princess Lover, your resume just went off my desk. It needs to be represented. So for if it's Michelle's Kayak Travel that we're trying to talk about and promote, maybe it's maybe it's Michelle Kayak. Maybe there's a way to spell it out. And Twitter will help you to identify whether that name is already taken. Maybe there's a way to spell it, so maybe it's MCH, LLE, maybe there's a way to even, maybe abbreviate it or do something. So you just have to be creative. After you come up with your Twitter handle, you then pretty much follow, you start to go on and you start to search. That search function that I used at the very beginning, who is your competition? Maybe it's Pound Sign Travel, and you start to find all these other people, and I'm going to follow them. You start following people, you're going to start finding out, oh, this is perfect. They're pushing out information. You will eventually find that Twitter is the fastest way to get information. If you want to, inform people about something, It's a fast way to get in front of people. The only challenge is that Twitter is also the easiest way for your message to get lost. Because if you're not using hashtags, tagging folks with the @ in their username, then quite honestly, your message could get lost unless somebody is truly following you. Some of the other steps that are on there, would then be, start using a hashtag. Come up with maybe pound travel. So maybe your first tweet is, excited to join Twitter. Be sure to follow us for exciting, kayak trips to Michigan, #travel. That might be our first trip or our first tweet. That then goes out. So anybody else that looks up the #travel, they're probably going to see, oh, well, Michelle's kayak travel is now online. There now, let me see what this is. That's an easy way for you to start. Just as you're on there trying to find followers, other people are doing the same thing. Because again, it's about growing your audience. I view it as it's like growing your cult. You want to have as many cult followers that are following behind you. If you remember the Verizon commercial, where the annoying guy would always go, "Can you hear me now?" And he had all these people behind him. That's exactly what you want. Right now you're going to just have that yourself. But eventually, when you grow your Twitter handle and your account grows, you're hopefully going to have all these people that are going to be behind you because they're going to be getting your message. So the minute you say, "Hey, I've got a great deal," they're all going to see it and go, "Wow, you do have a great deal." So it's an easy way to think about it. And, step 5 and 6, again, send out your first tweet. Look for other things to retweet. So these are really basic steps of things you can do. But again, in case you do want to get started, you do want to do it, I did promise that I would at least give you some of that. So I will go ahead and pause here and put up my contact information. Again, if there are questions, I'm happy to direct you to folks. If you are looking for advice on, how to get things started, if you, are needing help, please specify exactly what it is, so I can help identify, would it be better to get you to an individual that might do it for a few bucks on the side, or are you looking to really grow because, based on the plan you've put together and your strategy, you really need to compete with, Bill's kayak travel. Michelle really wants to compete with Bill. So maybe we need to find you a company. But maybe you have a low budget. So let's see what's out there. There are tons of places out there. Again, when we talk about using other professionals and other companies, doesn't mean we have to break the bank. Doesn't mean we have to invest a lot of money, but it also probably is a lot more efficient and cost effective than it would be to bring somebody on staff if you don't already have a person that is capable of doing that. So with that, I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions at the moment. If there are questions, if you will please put them into the chat function so that I can see them as they pop up. And if you do have a question, again, there's a function along the side where you can ask a question. And hopefully we didn't lose anybody. So hopefully you're not completely asleep right now. So we'll wait a few seconds, see if there are any questions, and hopefully get those answered. But again, I hope as we're waiting for questions that you found this to be enlightening. Because really, Twitter, I really feel that Twitter is one of those that, I don't want you to be scared of it. I want you to know it's out there because I am telling you, it is a booming social media. If you can start to better educate yourself a little bit, know what a hashtag is, know what a tweet is, that it's 140 characters. Have a Twitter handle so when you go somewhere, hey, follow us on, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Hey, you may be able to engage some people at a very different level. So, okay, we just had a question that's coming in, and it is it more effective to grow and cruise business on Twitter or Facebook? I think that's going to come down to whatever your strategy is. Again, looking at if you are an independent agent and you are working by yourself and you're a mom and you've got kids that are at home and you may not have a lot of time to devote to social media, I would recommend using Facebook. However, if your niche is going to be a younger audience, again, let's go back to selling cruises to college students, then my honest opinion would probably be, more towards Twitter. Or it could honestly be both. So again, I think it's going to first really diving you to have a conversation with what are you hoping to get out of it? Who do you want to connect with? And then how much time do you really have and or resources do you have to devote to it? Because again, Facebook is a lot easier to use than what Twitter is. But Twitter, again, depending on your niche, if you were to tell me that your niche, again, is college students, I'd be telling you if you're not on Twitter, that's a mistake. So, really it's depending on what your strategy and your plan is, would be the easiest way for me to answer that question for you. Are there other questions that are out there? Not seeing any more that are in the queue. So if not, I'll just pause for a few more minutes and see if there are any other questions that do pop up. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the third of our social media presentations. And again, these are being recorded. They are available in the Online Student Service Center. You can go to careerquesttraining.com and log in with your student ID and password and have access to any of these, especially the past ones. Also, we do welcome the idea of, interacting with us. Let us know what is it that you would like to see. Are there additional topics that we maybe have not addressed yet? Is there anything that you would really like to see us, maybe use as a topic? Would the next step in Twitter be helpful? If so, we just need you to reach out and let us know. You can post it on Facebook. You can send it through Twitter if you're using Twitter. And I would be very impressed if somebody was to have picked up in this presentation my Twitter handle or the CQTC Twitter handle with the message and say, I would welcome to see X, Y, or Z as a webinar. That would be a good one. I may have to help you do some self-promotion of yourself if that was the case. So, but interact with us. Let us know because, again, we really want to make sure that you are successful. So whether you are just getting started in the program, you've already graduated, you always have us as a resource to help you move forward. So if, again, if we can do something, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. So at this point, I've not seen any other questions in the queue, but again, my information is on the screen. If I can help in any way, please, send me an email, let me know what your questions are. And again, if there's anything else we can do to help you move along with either your business, your career, or even your education as you are progressing through the program, we are happy to do that. So at this time, I'll go ahead and say thanks again for joining us. Hopefully you have a great evening, and be sure to be watching for other webinars coming up in the very near future. Have a great night, everyone.